Welcome back. This is the Press Club. We're looking at some of the stories making the news today, and one of the headlines dominating the newspapers today. The Mirror newspaper, Diplomatic Tangle, UWP tells government to quit treating St. Lucia's diplomatic status. The Voice newspaper and the Star alike have headlines relating to a story that appeared in the UK media earlier about Dr. Walid Jafali, a name that I have never heard, and I suspect a lot of St. Lucians have not heard and were not familiar with, who was the diplomat assigned to represent St. Lucia at the International Maritime Organization. He apparently has been involved in a divorce proceeding, a case filed by a former wife, and he's using his diplomatic position to avoid testifying at the trial. St. Lucia's name has been splashed across the media in the UK, and there are a number of questions about why or what St. Lucia's role is in this entire case. Were you familiar with the name Jafari before this?
Before this case, yes, but not too long ago when another Jafari.
That's the daughter.
Yes,
of the man in question.
Yeah, but I knew nothing of them before, and frankly speaking, as somebody who knows a bit more about how government operates and how the diplomatic service operates, I am not as surprised or even concerned as some are appearing to be on this issue, because the whole matter, there are two issues here. The question, who is this guy and why is he a diplomat representing St. Lucia, who St. Lucians do not know of? Well, I think if you ask the average St. Lucian to name 3 diplomats, St. Lucians who are representing us abroad, I'm not sure we'll be able to get that from everybody, from the simple standpoint that when diplomats are being chosen to represent a country, it's not like having a referendum and asking the public to help choose or reporting to the public that we're about to appoint such and such a person.
No, but does that necessarily remove from responsibility from the government to at least announce that we have made this decision, we have made this choice, we have confirmed this person as our representative?
Who says the government didn't announce it? These announcements are made in the Gazette.
But I just asked you, did you know?
These announcements are made in the Gazette, which is the official announcement place for the government, which is a free publication accessible to the press, but we don't go there.
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah, we don't go there, but the appointments are normally made and announced and recorded for public purposes, not necessarily through a press conference. Secondly, every single country in the world, including the United States and every European country, every single independent member of the United Nations uses the facility of appointing honorary consuls. An honorary consul is not an appointed ambassador in terms of somebody who is on the payroll. An honorary consul is invariably who Mr. Jafali is, and that is somebody who is sufficiently rich and sufficiently knowledgeable of diplomacy and sufficiently knowledgeable of the area of interest to be able to be appointed. Now, the reason why the person is called an honorary consul and not an ambassador is because the person who is an honorary consul is not paid, does not get a salary, but takes on the personal responsibility for all expenditure relating to that position.
Yeah, but you made a very important point. There is knowledgeable of the area for which you've been appointed. In this case, there are questions about, well, not even questions. It is being said that he doesn't know anything, has no background, no knowledge of maritime affairs. Yeah,
well, that is for those who are making that claim to be able to prove. Because knowledgeable, my explanation of knowledgeable of the affairs is that, let's say our ambassador to the International Maritime Organization, he has to do what any ambassador does at the International Maritime Organization, which is to carry out the instructions of the government and to represent the government in the area of work. In all of those instances, it is never one person. It is an office which is headed by an honorary council, but which can be staffed with persons with knowledge of the particular area. Let me give you an example which everybody seems to be running away from. Our ambassador to UNESCO, Mr. Shagori, Gilbert Shagori. Shagori has been for many years St. Lucia's, in effect, St. Lucia's honorary consul as ambassador to UNESCO, because he's the one paying for the office in Paris. He's the one paying the staff of the office. He's the one paying all of the staff who were involved in, for example, the struggle to get the Pitons recognized as a World Heritage Site. He singularly paid out of his pocket for all of what had to be done there. And he survived from administration to administration because he is delivering the goods. Nobody has questioned whether he's climbed the Gopito or Piti Piton. Nobody is questioning whether, you know, he has a track record in environmental areas. In the case of Mr. Jafali, he's made 2 promises to the government of St. Lucia, not having to do necessarily with the International Maritime Organization, but one of the promises, and that appeared in the government's response. One is the establishment of an offshore medical community in St. Lucia, to which extent quite a lot has been done, and it was announced in the Governor General's throne speech for this year. And the second project, I can't quite remember, but there too work is being done. Now, in the case of this particular individual, as is always the case, we get to know about him and we want to find out about him because somebody else somewhere has a problem with him. Here you have a guy who is a billionaire, who has been married more than once, one of whose wives decides that she's going after him in court, in a situation where she wants him to go to court in a country in which he does not reside, and he has exercised his diplomatic immunity by refusing to go to court in that particular country. The lawyers representing his wife have accused the government of St. Lucia of protecting him by giving him diplomatic immunity so that he could not go to court. The government of St. Lucia has done no such thing. The government of St. Lucia has said that it has been asked by this man's lawyers to remove his diplomatic immunity, to force him to go to court with his wife. And the government of St. Lucia has responded by saying that nothing relating to this man and his wife has anything to do with his job on behalf of the government of St. Lucia. And therefore, the government of St. Lucia will not fall into the trap of setting a precedent by being the first government in the world that will withdraw the diplomatic immunity of an ambassador to force him to go to court in a civil suit that is of a family nature. That is what is happening here.
Yeah, but I think some of the issues that are being raised are not so much to do with the refusal of the government to withdraw his diplomatic immunity, but I think it has more to do with
who is he,
who he is, where he's from,
where he got appointed,
where he is from, and the fact that his daughter has also been appointed, and this seeming affinity for all things Arabian and Saudi Arabian on St. Lucia's part. Now, does it tie in with our move towards citizenship by investment? You heard the Prime Minister is in the UK this week speaking to investors over there. We have the daughter who was here recently, unbeknownst to us, meeting with
Let me put it to you, that this guy's family is so rich that number one, it is not strange, and his is not the only family in the world that offers those services. While he is a
No, we're not disputing that, but I think the question is how
No,
far,
I'm
how
answering-
far is St. Lucia ready to
yeah,
go?
I'm saying that in response to the question of is it a deal for him to get economic citizenship, I'm saying that guy could buy citizenship.
No, I'm talking about him. But the fact that we are trying to woo Saudi Arabians, you know, to what extent are we going in the name of political expediency, you know, and what kind of characters are we going to attract? I think that is the issue here. Even this article by Rick Wade in today's Star newspaper, he makes reference to St. Lucia government neglected to mention in its earlier cited press release that Saudi Arabia is as famous for its oil as its having brought into the world Osama bin Laden, whose fellow terrorists had on September 11, 2001, laid waste to New York's Trade Center.
So do we, on the basis of that concern, let an opportunity pass to have representation in Saudi Arabia that we are not paying for, that is delivering, that can deliver? Do we care about the nature of the Saudi Arabian regime, the fact that it practices Wahhabism and can be accused of not only bringing the bin Ladens to the world, but also winning support of ISIS? Are we to look at all of these issues and take that into consideration when we are deciding whether we are going to do like every other country in the world and have representation in Saudi Arabia, or whether we are going to be the first country in the world that decides that on the basis of certain fears that we are not going to move like the rest of the world and try and ensure that we can coexist with the rich and powerful as easy as we will with our fellow neighbors who are poor like us. Decisions on diplomatic representation are not made on those bases. And I'm saying here again that it is all well and good. The government indicated that all what we are now learning about Mr. Jafari, it knew before these things came to light, because due diligence was done and it was found out and it was known that prior to him being appointed as the honorary consul of St. Lucia, he is honorary consul for at least 3 other countries, and his daughter is also an honorary consul or ambassador or whatever it is for St. Lucia. We are not alone in the world in that. It is happening everywhere, and we have to be careful that we do not fall into the trap. I'm not talking about you, but generally in St. Lucia, because it happened in the Senate not too long ago, that when we're talking about the need to be concerned about economic citizenship, that we have to be careful about these Arabs.
Yeah.
You know, that we have to be careful of the Saudi Arabians, because, you know, it's possible that this rich family could be another family like Bin Laden, where everybody have money and looking good. But
I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing that there are people who are probably thinking that.
Yeah.
But you have to be concerned too about the wider picture. We already, our relationship with the United States is on shaky ground. You know,
and the United States relationship with Saudi Arabia couldn't be on better ground.
Yeah.
So USA could get vexed with us for Saudi Arabia. I think they'll be more concerned about the front page pictures with the Venezuelans.
We're due for a break. Let's take a break. When we come back, we can try to wrap up with some other issues quickly. This is the Press Club with me, Kendall Burton and Earl Buskey. We'll be right back after this break.